To our today's session on customer case with Kärcher and how they are using Prewave to mitigate supply chain risks with proactive resilience. I'm Harald Nitschinger, co-founder of Prewave, and I'm excited to set the stage for you. Prewave today is working with 220 customers, building compliant, resilient, and transparent supply chains. And when we think about use cases in supply chain risk, we think about it as a pyramid. At the bottom, many customers today enter the domain of supply chain risk with compliance, driven by topics like the German Supply Chain Act, CSDDD. This is what we call efficient compliance, where we offer a broad range of solutions. But the value with supply chain risk management is realized by moving up the pyramid. And this is what we support with artificial intelligence. We call it supply chain superintelligence. And today we want to zoom in on two use cases and present a case study with our customer Kärcher on how they are utilizing Prewave to realize proactive resilience. Now, when we think about resilience and disruption risk management in supply chains, we typically think about it in two dimensions. Traditionally, when companies and you guys might think about supply chain resilience, you think about risk alerting. I need to get visibility into what's happening in my supply chain. There's a labor strike here, there's a cyber attack there, and that's great, but at its core, that is reactive. This is where we come from as a company, but this is faster time to respond. It's all about reacting as fast as possible. But this is not proactive. And we want you guys to work proactively with your risk management. And that is what we at Prewave call proactive resilience. And resilience means building a supply chain that can withstand shocks, moving you out of the crisis management into being in a situation where your supply chain can withstand any crisis. This is resilience. But this means you need to invest. And that's not just you, but that's broadly on the market today. Yeah? Companies realize they need to invest in resilience. And on the other hand, companies know they have cost pressures. Yeah? So investing while simultaneously having a cost-effective supply chain. That sounds like a contradiction, right? Well, no, because if you have a clear ROI on where to invest, then the ROI justifies your investment. And this is the story. When we talk about resilience, we ask ourselves where to invest to build resilience. Where do we find alternative sources? Where do we build up a dual sourcing, multi-sourcing strategy? Where do we increase safety stocks? Where do we invest to develop suppliers? All of that is investment. All of that, let's say, costs money, but it also brings money by reducing risk, right? But how do we measure that? Traditionally, we can't measure it because with a high-level commodity or category strategy where we look at suppliers on kind of an ABC supplier, this is a strategic supplier, the risk is medium, we can take some decisions based on that, but we don't have a clear ROI. For a clear ROI, we need two things. We need a precise picture on the risk. At Prewave, we have that with what we call probability scores. So we give you a precise probability risk of disruption for topics like natural disasters or insolvencies. So it's not high risk for flooding, it's 26.2% flood risk in a certain spot. And if you move 10 kilometers westward, it's maybe 10% flood risk. Yeah? So that's a precise view on the risk. But we also need a precise view on the impact of a disruption. And that we achieve by quantifying the sales impact. If your supplier is hit, what's the impact on your sales? And this is what Kärcher will present, and this is how Kärcher has realized a precise view on the ROI of building a resilient supply chain and realized a significantly higher ROI on their mitigation budget. So resilient and cost-effective supply chains are not a contradiction, they are an opportunity. And how to realize this opportunity, I now ask on stage Andreas Schön and Raphael Schmid from Kärcher.
Yeah, thank you, Harald, for introducing us. Andreas is me. I'm director at Kärcher for sourcing, procurement, governance, and with me is Raphael today, our global risk manager. He will show you later on a little bit more about how we do the risk management at Kärcher. First of all, I would do a kind of commercial break. Who knows Kärcher? Okay, that's good. That's good. And who of you has a machine at home, a product of Kärcher? Oh, that's good, but there's room for improvement. If you want to have some special discount, let me know later. First of all, many of you know Kärcher, but what's really behind? You can see here one of our newest inventions. It's also about innovation, cleaning innovation. It's Kira, Kärcher's intelligent robotic application. So it's a full autonomous cleaning machine for big halls, big meeting rooms, whatever, airports and so on. And this is our newest machine. It can completely autonomous drive and clean and bring back the dirt water and get fresh water, recharge the batteries. And actually, all of that goes back to our founder, Alfred Kärcher and Irene Kärcher. And here you can see what it means having innovation, and also that innovation is nothing if you don't meet the customer needs. Alfred Kärcher was the inventor. He invented a lot of things, boats, ovens, as well as cleaning machines, etc., etc. But actually it was his wife saying, Alfred, you need to concentrate on something, and you need to meet the customer demands so that we can make money out of it. And that's why they decided together to concentrate on the cleaning business. So that is the origin of Kärcher. And also she was the one saying black and yellow is good. It gets more attraction. Maybe, Harald, where are you? Black and yellow is a good color. Most of you know the machines where they are used in the home appliances in your home. But as well, we have professional machines where airports are cleaned in other municipal areas and so on. Kärcher is located in 82 countries all over the globe. And we have more than 160 companies, so actually a quite huge company meanwhile. And what you can see also in the sales figures, since 2010, we had a growth more than 100%. So now we are at, we ended up last year at 3.3 billion. And all that was possible, of course, with a lot of smart people in the company. So we bring up every year some new products, some innovations, so that we are still in the market leader position. And we fight hard to stick to that position. That's it more or less to Kärcher. If you have some more questions, please ask them later. Now I would like to hand over to Raphael. He will explain you a little bit about the risk management.
Thank you, Andreas, for the great introduction. Now, finally, everyone knows what Kärcher does and what Kärcher sells. I hope now everyone is excited for the main part, proactive resilience. I will tell you or give you some insights how we do it at Kärcher and what's behind. So you can see here our vision where we started with our proactive resilience approach, but in the end it's about no more reacting to any risk events, to COVID and so on, Brexit. We wanted to step in the driver's seat. We want to be one step ahead and proactively battle any upcoming risks and also upcoming cash flow incidents and so on, disruption incidents. So we started with the vision of kind of standardized analysis for everyone, for every commodity buyer, for every risk manager in our organization, with an integrated 360 risk view. So adaptable, customizable, but also an holistic view of risks, and also the sales view integrated, meaning customer view. So what is the sales impact of a disruption? What is the sales or also the margin impact if this component or if the supplier fails? So this is a really important thing in our approach. And in the end, we want to derive measures. We want to see what's the ROI of a mitigating measure in terms of risk. If we do something, set up a second source or increase stocks and so on. So we want to proactively battle these risks and be, as I already said, be one step ahead. data is a really important factor, is a success factor, is where everything starts. So at the very beginning, we had to fix our data. We had to make some connections between the sourcing spend, the things we buy, and the sales, and also the margins, in order to later connect components, but also suppliers with the margin effect, and in order to act efficiently and also actively be able to measure the impacts. So, but how does it look like in on the one side in theory, and later we will also see two use cases. So we set up kind of scientific approach. So we set up a risk analysis in 2 dimensions. The first dimension, the x-axis, is the risk score, and the second dimension is the business interruption dimension. It's covering mainly the impact the supplier has on our business. So what are we doing here on the left-hand side? We set up this scientific formula. So the impact a supplier has on our business is, on the one side, the business interruption for 12 months. So meaning if a supplier fails, what impact has the supplier on our sales and on our margin for 12 months? Covering also the mean time to recovery, meaning how much time would it need to set up a second source supplier or to recover exactly this supplier who fails, but also taking into consideration the stocks on Kärcher side, the stocks in the supply chain, but also the stocks on supplier side. So with this formula, we are calculating the BI effective, the real impact the supplier has on our business, on customer side, and merging this with the risk perspective. Risk is not only about alerts. Nowadays, everyone is doing some more or less fancy AI risk stuff with his suppliers. But we try to enrich this data with probabilities. For example, insolvency probabilities, earthquake probabilities, flood probabilities, so that we have specific percentages for every supplier of a failure. And combining this with the sales impact, we get these metrics here in the middle. And now we can prioritize. We can prioritize where we want to invest in any mitigation measures, for example, second sources, doing some supplier workshops, for example, or doing some audits or setting up some emergency plans. This is the basis for prioritizing. How does it look like? I brought you two use cases now, which we had in the last months. First use case is here. I think it's a supplier from Italy with a mid or rather low purchase volume. So just based on a purchase volume view, we won't have prioritized this supplier. Just some sealing parts, not that much value. But if we have a look at customer side, the parts of the supplier go in really many machines and have a really large sales and margin impact. And therefore, it's here at the top of this matrix. At the same time, this supplier has a quite high financial risk exposure, means probability of an insolvency. And when we combine now these 2 dimensions, the impact of the supplier on our business, and on the other side, the risk view of the supplier, it's ending in the red area. And we said, okay, for these suppliers, it makes sense, it is efficient to undertake some measures, some mitigating measures. So in this case, it would have make no sense to install a second source, would have been too expensive. But by having a deeper analysis, we recognized, okay, with quite low costs and in increasing the stocks, we have a really good effect in mitigating the risk proactively before something happens. And this is ending up in the numbers on the right side, and that was one of our main ideas, to be able to put everything in measures in figures in the end. in order to provide the management and really, an use case and an ROI of the mitigating investment. So in this case, we just invested, I think it was per year, 12,500 euros per year. And at the same time, we were able to mitigate or to reduce the potential damage on sales side of more than 5 million euro. So yeah, you can imagine if you put this on the management table, it's a quite easy decision. Secure margins, secure sales by investing in stocks. So this was the first use case. Second use case, we also had a supplier, also in the mid purchase volume sector, so would have caused no prioritization just by looking at the sourcing spend. Also a mid impact on sales side, on margin side, but quite high risk exposure for earthquakes. So the region where the supplier is in is quite risky. Also ended up in the red sector. In this case, also high cost to install a second source. But we decided to work on emergency plans with the supplier, doing some workshops, sitting together with the supplier, working on how can we tackle these risks in your area, and at the same time checking some insurance opportunities. Can we insure the supplier on our side? So in the end, with investing in insurance and undertaking some workshops together with the supplier, we were able to secure or to reduce a potential of damage of 21 million euros. So in this case, also a really good ROI for investment. So as you can see, by tackling these two dimensions, the risk in combination with the impact of a supplier, it's really possible to make really efficient mitigating measures. And this is what we try to achieve. We try to anticipate potential upcoming risks, and with a clear strategy, with a clear standard analysis, and we are able to measure everything in figures. So we can say if we invest this amount of money, it's reducing this amount of potential damage on sales side. So we can put everything in figures here on this side. And with this approach, we are also able to lift our category strategies to the next level, integrating this risk view in our category strategies, and also integrating downstream transparency, for example, when undertaking some kind of workshops. So this is our risk management approach and our use cases. So feel free to ask questions. Thank you.
Right, looks like we've got a few questions that have come in on Slido. So we'll start with this one. Are changing carbon and energy prices across the regions in your supply chain already part of your risk assessments?
Yeah, as you might imagine, cleaning is our business, and we always have that kind of, I would say, avoidance of CO2 emissions, etc., in our DNA. So what we always do is producing local for local, and so that's why we try to have always local supply chains for our production facilities around the globe. We have also sustainability criteria in our risk management, of course, in terms of disasters or whatever. In terms of CO2 emissions, maybe it's a little bit hard to calculate that, how that impacts the risk. I mean, that's a risk maybe in terms of money, if you have then potential CO2 prices or tariffs, what are coming up. That is something we take into consideration for the future, of course, but not exactly because the amount is not completely clear up to now. But in the future, we will have that also in our decision, in our awarding processes. That is really important to have that.
Okay, great. We'll move on to the next one here. What is the technology you use to realize this kind of model?
It's called Prewave. Booth 45 visitors.
Great. Okay, they must have come in late. That's okay. All right. How are you attempting to mitigate relevant risks further upstream from your tier 1 suppliers?
Here we also have a quite good tool partner to tackle this. So for the last 2 years, I think we are working on tier end transparency, also partnering with Prewave, using, I will say, different features. So on the one side, we use this customs and freight screening, so that with our technology partner, we are able to visualize and make our supply chain more transparent. But on the other side, it's also really important to cover it with the internal know-how. Means the know-how of the category buyers also has to be brought on the table, has to be brought in a system, has to be visualized. And the third block is the supplier, also a success factor in terms of tier N. So the supplier has, from my point of view, the deepest knowledge of his own supply chain, maybe not tier 3 and more down, but at least tier 2, maybe tier 3. And combining these 3 blocks, meaning technology, internal know-how, and also supplier know-how, gives a quite good picture of the own supply chain. And maybe Harald, you can say something about the 4th block, predictions or something like that.
Yeah, so we use public data sources, and then we bring in also the data that Kärcher gathers with their suppliers or internal know-how. When we have all that in the system, we can again leverage that for risk analysis, for compliance topics. So that's then the synergies that work for all the use cases. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, we've got some questions about regulations. So folks are just asking, how about new EU regulations like EUDR? How do you implement these new regulations?
Luckily, I guess we gained some time. But of course, we also collaborate here with our software providers, but as well also we're talking a lot with other companies, because that's not a culture problem or a culture issue, a culture challenge. That's a common challenge. And therefore, I also invite always everybody to talk to each other, because that's how we can manage these challenges. And on the one hand, we profit a lot of software provider like Prewave, because they have a lot of customers having the same issue. And as well, we have our knowledge exchanges with other companies, and that helps a lot, to be honest.
And in the end, it's also about data. You need data from supplier side. You need to process the data on your end in the most efficient way and provide the data to any, to the EU or to the German authorities.
Yeah, sounds like keeping that communication flow going is really beneficial. All right, I think we've got time for one last question. So here we go. Can proactive resilience also help in reducing impacts of unpredictable events, and how?
We have rolled out this model with a few customers, and one famous other customer is from the drilling machine company Hilti, and he has been using this model for years. And he says the main reason he's working with this approach is not technology and this and that, it's peace of mind. Because if you have your supply chain under control, if you have your stock styled in, if you have your emergency plan styled in, if you know where to prioritize, as a risk manager, you can sleep at night. And that's the power of this model. So,
and it's not about preventing any events. So insolvencies will take place, earthquakes will take place, but the effect of such events has to be as low as possible for us as a company. So we have to have backup plans, so that the effect of such events is as less as possible in the end.
So just the case that Raphael presented, if this supplier goes bankrupt, they have built up enough stock proactively to manage it. In the time it takes to replace the supplier, they are covered. And that's where we want to be, being resilient proactively.
But in the end, maybe nothing will happen at this supplier for 10 years, for 20 years, but we have to mitigate the potential risk for our very important suppliers and to make this in the most efficient way, and that's what we try to do.
Absolutely. Well, that looks like all the time we have for today. I think we really cleaned it up today. Let's have a round of applause for our speakers.